All right, we are back here, CITIUS MAG live from guest to the show. But before we do that, we kind of have to set this up. Like, you know, over the last couple years, we've been big supporters of Eric Holt, training unsponsored with Empire Elite, and has been making just major progress each year, you know, dating back to, I think of like the 2021 Trials of Miles meet taking place in Austin, Texas, and him winning the race there, beating quite a bit of professionals in that B section. And then from there, you know, it's just sort of like everything has just kind of built upon year after year. And at the New York City Grand Prix, he runs his personal best of 3:34, and it was an emotional, you know, interview that he gave afterward, where he talks about, you know, the struggles of being unsponsored, you know, and it was a race where he came so close to beating 2022 world champion Jake Whiteman, was the top American in that race. So came into the trials with lots of momentum, looking to really, you know, shock the world in the 1500. Things maybe didn't go his way, but he'll be bouncing back in the 800. And all of that is to say that we're about to break some news, and it's some good news that a lot of people have been waiting for. So here's how the sausage gets made. We had a photo shoot this morning after Eric's workout. Eric has signed a professional contract, and if people refresh their Instagram feeds literally this second, we are happy to report that Eric Holt has signed a pro deal with PUMA and is here to talk about it. Eric Holt, come on over. All right, Eric, here's the mic. You seem like just so excited now. Like this has been literally, I guess, like how you described it in New York as like a dream. So this is a dream come true to call yourself a professional runner with a contract now.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, for a short amount of time, I thought I would never be a professional in my career. When I was a little kid, you know, I'm talking about like 8 years old, I remember saying, you know, my dream would be one day to be a professional athlete. And, you know, I eventually did track and field, and then I was like 25, 26, and I was like, I don't know if this is ever going to happen, you know. And I've had a lot of disappointments. I remember asking a lot of brands, and they all said no. And, you know, I also wanted to represent Empire, and the opportunity that I have with PUMA to represent both Empire and PUMA, it's like the best of both worlds, because I didn't necessarily want to abandon my coach that got me this good and be like, hey, this has been working, we've been getting really good, you know, and just leave everything behind and join a new club. So the fact that I can stay with Empire, represent Empire, and now join the PUMA family, it's a dream come true, and I'm so ecstatic. And it's funny, even though I did bad in the 15, failed to make finals, I'm like really happy and optimistic, because I do think, you know, I'm in step in the right direction, and I'm really also excited for the 800 as well.
First off, congratulations.
Thank you.
Very well deserved. You know, the 15 didn't quite go your way, but you've got some great new, and it might be tough sometimes to bounce back from, you know, a slightly disappointing race, but it's to kind of refocus, and you now signed, you're now professional. Does that kind of give you, are you now feeling like you're in a better headspace heading into that 800?
Absolutely. You know, I just remember just being in the semis and the 15, and I felt like I was in good enough shape to make the finals for sure, but I just was making too many unnecessary moves, and I felt like I wasted way too much energy, you know, fighting in the pack. And I mean, I always look at like when like I have bad races, I always feel like I'm like, you know, I always trying to find a way to bounce back. And people forgot I won the race in Tennessee at the Music City Festival in a 1:45.8, and I beat a guy that made finals. So I think people forgot I won that race, and I'm very optimistic. So I'm going into the 800. I'm ready to showcase my new speed suit, and I'm ready to show everyone what I can do as a pro. And my goal is to PR in every event. I don't want people to think like, now I'm pro, this is I'm just not going to get better. I feel like I'll continue to improve, and I'm super excited.
You you said it in the mix zone afterwards that you also did sort of feel that like a lot of your training was more conducive to the 800 as well. I guess like what is it that the practices and workouts are telling you that like make the 800 feel like a strong suit for you?
I do struggle sometimes with like threshold, double threshold, sometimes with longer workouts. They just feel a little tough. And I'm also feel like when I run the 15, I feel like when it comes to aerobic strength, I might not be the strongest. Like I don't know if I could. I don't think I could break 13 minutes in a 5K like some of these guys. And I think I would struggle to run low 13. But now it's like cool to be in an event where I'm like, you know what? I can beat all you guys in long distance, I'm like, well, I have some of the most strength, and to be in an event where I feel like, I'm one of the strongest guys, I know I can always come back, and I feel like as the rounds progress, I'm going to be at an advantage versus, maybe some of the shorter guys.
What do you take from that 1500 going forward? What if you could rerun that race? How do you think you make that into the final?
I honestly think, in hindsight, I should have taken the lead because I feel like I'm a runner. My biggest weakness is when I'm like fighting for positions, because sometimes I'll fight for a good position and then I fail and then I retreat and I go for it again and then retreat, go for it again, and that just wastes so much energy. And honestly, like, you gotta look at racing as it's not 100% about fitness, it's about running the smartest race possible. And I told myself, whatever happens in the 8, I can't fight. I gotta try to relax, be on the rail, and only have one move. And that was the biggest issue. I had like 7, 8 moves. You can only have one move, and when you only have one move in a race, that's when you do your best. And I feel like I should have treated the second round kind of like a New York Grand Prix, where I just took the lead, I was relaxed, and then at the final lap, I had one move. And that's why I did so successful. And I feel like when I do all these moves, I lose my kick. You don't have your kick because you're jostling, you're fighting around too much. So I should have either held back in the semi or taken the lead. And I think I would have done way better.
Yeah. Was it hard to watch the final?
Oh, it was hard. I mean, I think I would have done really well in the final. I will say the top 3 were very strong. I mean, that was the goal coming in here. So it was really hard to watch that just because, that's what you've been training so hard for. But in my opinion, now I'm like, maybe the universe or God or whatever you want to call it has a way. And maybe they want me to run the 8. And, we'll see. You saw what happened in the final for the women's 800 final, that anything can happen, Like, a thing fell and didn't make it. Who would have thought a thing wouldn't make the Olympic team? And, it's just like, I feel like anything can happen in these races. And the one thing I also take away is anything can happen in the first round. Like, I never thought 334.5 would win the first round of a 15. So it's like, I got to be ready to run 144, I guess. Well, hopefully not. But I just like, my mentality is, especially in the first round of the 8, is just like, race to win, be up near the front. Like, I don't want to be like, oh, well, top 6 make it, I just need to jog it through. That's not a good mentality, because that's the mentality I had in the first round. And I felt like I got punched in the face because it's like, whoa, what's going on? Why are we going out so fast? It's the first round. So,
all right. So let's before we get into sort of the pro announcement and signing with PUMA, what happened, I guess, after New York? Because like, I didn't expect that video of you to blow up the way that it did. I tweeted the clip of you talking about just kind of the struggles of being unsponsored, garnered more than 2 million views. I don't know what it ended up being. A lot of people kind of quote tweeting it, some people offering to like buy you a couple dinners and all that stuff. Other people just sort of like, maybe being like, I can't offer like a full-on sort of sponsorship. Maybe smaller sponsorships popped up. But what happened after New York, once like your story started to really get out there to people?
I think to me, it's been kind of hard. And I want to make it clear, I wasn't struggling that hard. Like, people thought I was like homeless. Like, I'm chilling. I like my parents. I have a girlfriend. People are saying I'm like homeless. I'm
Yeah,
living in a
you're
box.
you're not down that
Dude,
bad.
it's fine, dude.
Yeah.
I'm like chilly, bro. Like, it's good. I get like meals. I have a healthy relationship with my parents. I don't hate them. I love them, and my
That's
girlfriend.
huge. That's
And
big.
I have a very, I have a successful girlfriend, and half the week I'm at her place anyways. So if I need a few breaks, I go to her apartment, and I'm doing fine. But I will say, like, obviously, when you almost beat a world champion, and I'm like, dude, like, damn, Dan, like, I'm running this fast, and like I still have to buy all my shoes, and I have to like get my own like physio and everything, and I sometimes I hear these guys talking about like, yeah, man, like these super shoes, and like I'm like, I hate how I have to like, order my own massages. It's like, you guys argue about like, oh man, I have to set up my own massage appointments.
like I'm homeless.
Like, yeah, bro, I'm dying out here. I'm starving to death, man. No, but it's like, I don't care. I'm not like, it's just like, I just have a little pent up. I'm like, damn, bro. Like, I just want like a contract, man. And like, I'm getting a little older, and I'm like, can I just have one contract? So but like, basically, it just like, yeah, I would love free gear, a little more support, and, finally to make that step, because I've been talking about this, since 2020, and it's been 4 years, and I'm like, man, am I ever going to make this happen? Like, am I ever going to be in a situation where I'm going to get, like, free gear? Like, it is annoying when you have to pay $150 for super shoes. I had to pay another $140 for trainers. That's like $300, and I remember getting a little lower in the bank account, so I'm like, shit, dude. Like, I don't think Jake Wyman's like, oh man, I gotta pay $150 for the New Balance shoes.
No, I doubt he is. You've in the last few years, you've just gotten so much better. What do you attribute a lot of that to? Has it been just a increase in better training? Has it been you're more confident in your mindset? Like, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, what makes me different is I feel like I'm not above any type of training. Like, my coach will be like, do 90 miles a week, and I'll be like, sure. And in college, I never really did more than 40, 50 miles a week. And we have a really good strength coach. I do whatever he says. And we did a few altitude camps. I'll do whatever the coach says. If he says run, 50 miles, I'm like, well, and then I'll probably still do it. But I just do whatever he says. I've been doing more mileage. I've been doing more speed work. And honestly, in college, I never did speed. My strength and conditioning wasn't like the greatest. And then I've just been doing all this new stuff. And more importantly, I've been like, Trotman, my coach, has been telling me, you can run 350, you can run 144, you can run this. And I've never had a coach that set the bar this high for me. Yeah. Unfortunately, when I was in college, like it felt like everyone was satisfied with me running like 153, 410. People weren't saying like, we need to run these times. And that's the kind of the environment I was in. And also, I'm at this point, it's like, if I'm going to do this sport, I'm either I gotta run these times. Like, if I'm not running these times, then I need to do something else in my time. Yeah. So I think that's the kind of mentality I bring, and I'm never gonna say no to like whatever coach says. Whatever coach tells me to do, it's like my job. I'll do it no matter what. It's
now
like,
it is your job.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the final surge. Sometimes he'll mess up the final surge, and then I'll do it, and he's like, oh, well, you should have known that wasn't it. And I was like, whatever the final surge says, I do it. It could be like, you could be anything. Climb a tree. I'm like, I'm climbing that tree.
I decided to pull up the post where, you had your quote where you said, I lose money in the sport, I don't gain money. That post reached on Instagram 269,000 people. It was sent, via DM or shared on Instagram stories over 3,000 times. It had 424 comments, 24,000 likes. And so far, like, in the 10 minutes since posting your pro announcement, you're already at 2,700 likes. You've got a ton of comments already. Like, these are people congratulating you, people excited for you. Dinner on PUMA. Girlfriend's getting one hell of a dinner tonight. Like, I guess, like, even though it took a while, you've got a lot of people excited
love
for
the
you.
Bolt.
Yeah, you know, to be honest, it is true. Like, I was getting to a point where I remember I was with my girlfriend, we're in the city, and I was looking at my bank account, and I was like, you know, and she was like, all right, don't worry, I got it. And then I was like, don't worry, when I get a contract, I'll get a contract one day, you know. It won't be like this forever. So I remember, you know, just always being like looking at my bank account. I'm like, oh my God, like, how am I going to do track for another year? Like, you know, and like, I was like, the altitude camp worked, but like that like banged out half of it. So I'm always trying to save money, you know, do whatever I can to be as frugal as I can. But now with this contract and everything, it's like, wow, I finally got that pillow. Like, I don't have to worry too much about, you know, saving money as much as I can, you know. I just feel like it'll just, like, give me that bit of a relief, a little less, you know, pressure on me. And, you know, I feel like now, you know, I can make some new steps in my life and do some other things and, you know, just have a little more flexibility. And it's such a great feeling. And it makes me, you know, very happy because it's like, wow, I actually now have a lot more stability in my life. And because it's like, you know, I worked in a psych ward, and I remember just, like, patients, you know, through, like, submissions, like, or, you know, where you have to, like, deal with these patients. I'd get kicked in the shin, the knee, and, you know, it's like I didn't really want to go back to that job. And so now I feel like, you know, in the future I could, do, you know, be an assistant coach, you know, have my own place. And it's just like, it's now just with this little bit of extra income, I can just do so many more things in my life. And I'm really happy about it, and it makes me really happy. So I'm so grateful and honored that, you know, I'm in this position, because to be honest, I feel like most 29-year-olds that never been sponsored won't ever be in a position where they can be sponsored, you know?
Mm-hmm. To play off, you know, that last question a bit, people really love people. You're the new people's champ. People really, you're someone that everybody loves to root for. Anytime you get on the mic, you're a quote machine. Do you feel when you're walking around, are people coming up to you and they're just saying how much they love the things you're saying and how authentic you are?
Yeah, you know, it's crazy. I never thought I would get this much attention, to be honest, because I always felt like, you know, people always gravitated toward the youngest, most talented. You know, wow, you're 18, 19, you're running this or that. And so I would think people would see me as this, like, old dog, you know, that needs to be put out. But I'm like, wow, people actually really gravitate toward my story and are inspired. And I'm like, wow, like, I honestly didn't think in my career I would ever, you know, garner this much attention. And, you know, I always want to let people know, like, I'm very grateful. And, you know, I'm just so honored. And I always want to say this, like, I feel like I'm privileged to be in this position. Like, I don't want people to think, I don't want people to feel sorry. I'm privileged to do what I love in my life and finally reach this moment, because I'm not going to lie, there was a moment I didn't think I was ever going to get sponsored. And I didn't want, like, to end my career like, oh man, I was chasing sponsors, and then it never came and I gave up. Like, I wanted to, like, do it in my career.
Yeah.
And I am so happy, and like I said, I feel very grateful to be in this position.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a couple of years ago we were selling Holtamania shirts to, like, try and support your athletic dreams.
I know.
So, yeah, go ahead.
No, I just want to say, Chris, and I'm being honest when I say this, you and CITIUS MAG, I'm forever grateful, because I don't think I would have this amount of attention, and your platform is what gave me, like, Holtamania, and all the attention I get is honestly because of you.
I appreciate it.
And I appreciate it, and I'm in debt for you, so I'm so happy.
I mean, you're a views machine, so, like, I'm also just sort of like, you know what, like, we gotta keep getting Eric in front of a camera. So there's a mutual benefit.
Mutual benefit.
But no, we're really, really happy for you, Eric. So, you know, kind of looking at these 800s, I think what do you think is like the best race that suits sort of your strengths? Like, is it the sit and kick, or like, are you going to be, I guess you said like sometimes you like just being to the front and dragging people out?
Honestly, I think my strategy is just to get out hard, and then when I get in the final 200 and I see some of these 4.8 guys, I'm like, guess what? I did double T, baby, at altitude. I do 90 miles a week. If you think I'm not going to come for you, if you don't think I have enough strength to have the fastest last 200, there's a reason why I do that mileage. So I feel like, I'm definitely going to be more of like coming back in the last 100. But, I've ran 117 flat in practices, so I know I can get out in 117 in a race. And, I mean, as long as I'm in the right position and I have a way to come through, I know that I can catch these guys, especially if they have a second lead with me. So, I mean, I'm like looking at races of like Robbie Andrews, Nick Simmons, and just seeing all these good kickers. And, I'm going to be that type of runner, and I'm going to try my best, and I'm very optimistic that I'll do really well. So we'll see.
There you go.
Yeah, I was just going to say also just sort of like the way you race, like just how physical, like no one wants to get near those arms at all. Like you're ready to push someone off the track.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at my speed suit, I was looking at myself. I'm like, dang, dude, I look good. I look like a 4.8 guy. Man, dude, I don't look like a distance runner. I look like I belong in the 8, man. I'm so excited, like,
Yeah, that's the mentality you have to have going into this one.
Yeah.
Well, Eric, we appreciate you stopping by and, helping share this news with us, with our audience, after we've been kind of along for the journey. You're going to get back to your phone shortly, and you're just going to see just how many people are really, really happy for you, and also just sort of like throwing their support behind the brand as well, just because, they looked at just sort of your story and how it is relatable to a lot of people.
And I just want to add, if there's anything I can do for the track and field community, is I want to be an inspiration. I want to like show other unsponsored athletes that are 22, 23. They're like, listen, I didn't get my first sponsor deal until I was 29. So you got 6 years, And, if you just work hard enough, you do the right things, and you're just, more importantly, you do this sport because you love it, you're having fun, and you're doing it for the right reasons. Like, you shouldn't be doing track to be rich necessarily, but I think if you're doing it for the right reasons and you love what you do and you have a community that supports you, then you should just go for it. And I just want to, most important thing, my legacy is to be like, hey, I'm 23, but Eric got a contract at 29. I can still do it.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. Well, Eric, thanks for stopping by, and wishing you all the best as you take on this 800 field.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. We'll be right back shortly with our next guest, Vernon Norwood.
Awesome. Am I allowed to?
Seems like you've been wasting time trying to find your place in life. You need to get your ducks all in a row. So take some time to understand that life is a race. Ooh, for each and every man. Sometimes people will treat you like worn out shoes, but they don't know that you can't lose. Come and be a winner. Be a winner now. Now you're a winner. Oh, baby. Oh, come and be a winner.